we're going to be taking a look at the best team for Galand. Now, I know I'm a little bit late to the party, but better late than never. So they're going to be at the bottom right. We're going to go through the details. I'm going to separate everything in the timestamps if you want to go to a specific character. If not, I'll also walk you through the fight step by step with this team, and let's see how that goes. So if I go over to Tristan, as you can see, I got pretty lucky. We have him potential 10. The stats aren't necessarily important. We have a little bit of HP on him, and then all elemental burst as well as fire burst. So overall 50% additional burst efficiency. Now if I go over to his weapons, this is the one I'm using, but I haven't limit broken it enough. I believe if you limit break it enough, you get minus 40% resistance lowered. So let's go take a look. Yeah, as you can see, it goes up to minus 40%, which is again very good. You want to do some attacks here and there. If you can land a back attack, just go behind the enemy, so behind Galand, land that crit, and then you can just crit 20% to 40% more often, which who doesn't want that? The other two weapons are not necessarily important. I mean, if you want to give him as much attack as possible, you can go ahead and do that, but these are, as you can see, all level 1. The whole purpose for having Tristan is to just make sure he can burst, right? So we're going to use the skill first, fire resistance, use this one to do additional burst. And you always want to use this one before you use the normal skill, because as you can see, it says it gives you additional 200 on the already 225 burst gauge when you are bursting the enemy. This one you can just use with Escanor or Daisy as a combined ultimate. You don't really have to worry about using it on its own. I'll go over to the potential just to show you what they can do. I'll do it after. The best set obviously is going to be the crafted set, the twisted thought, and make sure you can at least upgrade the HP one just so he can stay alive or help your team stay alive. Now here I got a little bit lucky. We have 5% all elemental burst efficiency, but overall this skill is pretty good because lowers your normal skill cooldown and then increases burst efficiency even more. This, I think, could also trigger with basic attacks. So once you do the special attack, do your basic attacks, then I think that still brings down your cooldown by 60%. So anyway, after that we have, let's go to potential 5. Most people could probably have this. We have potential 7. Landing a critical hit restores cooldown and increases its damage by 30%. Again, that's not very important because you don't stack fire resistance lowered. And then potential 10 gives me fire damage increase and then fire crit chance by 15% and 10%. So overall, a very good passive for potential 10. Helps out obviously Escanor. So that is the Tristan build. I'm going to go over to Escanor for Galand. If we take a look at his stats, it's not terrible. We have 43% crit chance and then 89% crit damage. I think it could be a little bit higher, but overall we have 100% fire attack increase at the bottom right and then some fire damage increase. So we go over to his weapon. As you can see, I have pretty much a perfect roll. The special attack damage increase is obviously huge because that's his axe charge of attack. Then fire attack, because you have, again, 4,500 fire attack, right? So his passive, once you do limit break it to level 4, if you're thinking about it, your normal skill damage or normal skill increases your HP by 12%. So it comes in handy, but it doesn't really matter that much. I just did it for the attack and then have more HP for sustainability. And then after that, we have these two doesn't really matter, just have their own builds independent of each other because you do swap around builds often, but just want to make sure you're doing the fire burst and then using this skill, do 20% basically of their HP. This skill does give you additional sunspot, but make sure you're basically doing as many attacks as you can with the sunspot, and then you let out your big move when you have flare activated. And then his ultimate does do more damage the more ultimate points you have. You can trigger a burst with Escanor and Tristan or Daisy, but I would recommend if you're going to do damage, just use the ultimate on its own. But again, if you need to trigger a burst, go ahead and do it. That's why Tristan and Escanor work together so well. You can trigger a fire burst really easily. And then for his set, obviously use this one on the axe, gives you flare for longer. And then when you're attacking an enemy that has sunspot, it gives you a higher chance of getting another sunspot. Then there's no cooldown on that, so you can trigger it back to back to back to back. And then after that, we have the Arachne set. So previously I tried using the new set, but apparently it doesn't actually do anything. I tested it, so you're better off using the Arachne set on him. And buff duration efficiency is good. Obviously we have flare and sunspot, so we want to have those buffs as long as we can. All element defense doesn't really matter. You can have crit defense on there. And then chance based bonus to 5% is really big on the attack percent increase, so I was like, I'll leave it on this. But again, Arachne set probably is the best set overall on the axe. And then I have potential 4, nothing crazy. So that's it for Escanor. Moving on to Guila. She doesn't really matter that much either. You want to give her some HP. We go over to weapons. We're using the sword and shield and not the rapier. The rapier is good. You can use it, but I found sword and shield to be better. It's just because of this passive. You increase 30% fire damage when you apply a barrier to a teammate. So use your skill, go over to Escanor, and then you do basically 30% more damage the whole time. Compared to 15% defense reduction from Guila's rapier. So that's that. And then we have this is where you do the barrier. And then the ultimate, you never really use it. So you can, I guess, it gives you 20% more fire damage taken, but, you know, nothing important. So I do have the blazing sword and shield to open with her, but I haven't been able to limit break this. But if you do have a limit broken sword and shield, make sure you use it on her, start with her, and then switch over to other characters. And then we have the armor. So you can use the set. I'm using this one just because it's the new one, but when you are using the rapier, if you want to use that, then you need this set because, again, it lowers enemies' burst resistance as well, which makes you to burst faster. This is her regular skill, right? I mean, I think I should probably put this on, but this is level 113, so I don't really want to upgrade it, but when you come in with attack skill, it actually reduces your cooldown on the shield skill, so you get it 30% faster. If this was level 2 or 3, like this first set I have here, as you can see, level 3 passive, I would have upgraded it, but for now I just left it. But it probably is better to actually go ahead and use that right here. So if you haven't, use this one. And then if I go over to armor and stuff here, the best slot probably is going to be the corrupted set. I don't have the necklace. I have to farm the dragon for it, but if you want to go ahead and use the corrupted set on her, it would be pretty good because you're tagging in with her often. Again, if you combine it with the engraved set, then they play well together very easily. And then we have Daisy here. So let's go over to her set. We have nothing crazy, 56% crit rate, 105% crit damage, and then 18,000 attack, which is not bad. The main reason I have her here is because of her buffs. Obviously, we have 15% more buff duration, and then also because of the turrets. So as you can see, I am potential 7, but you can clear it very easily with potential 4 as well. And then the reason I have her is because also she has a combined ultimate with both Escanor Axe and Dual Swords Tristan, and what her ultimate does on Electro is basically it lowers crit defense by 75%. Here it's 50%, but with the potential it's I think 75%. So this one doesn't really do much. Increases Daisy's crit damage and crit chance. Again, the turret does some damage. And then here is your crit damage buff by 15%. And then this one is lowering the enemy crit resistance by 20%. So as you can see, a lot of buffs. And then if I go over to her armor, this is not the one you should be using. This is for when I was doing some earth stuff. But this one with the wind attack, that's the new one, increases your ally's crit chance by 6%, but also you do 4 normal attacks on the enemy when they have the crit resistance lowered, and that will have another 32% crit defense minus. So the set, I don't really know like the best set on her. I just put on this because, again, I was doing some damage stuff. But if you want, you can use something like this. If you have this, you get additional HP, you stay alive longer. If we move on to the fight, I'm going to show you step by step on how I actually do the fight. Now we're going to be jumping right into the fight, and I'll do some commentary as I'm playing, and you can see how to beat him. So and I'll just take a second to pause to say if you made it this far into the video, I really appreciate you. If you would consider subscribing, that would mean a lot. It's free, and then you can always unsubscribe later. So let's get into it. Alright, so as you saw there, I pretty much applied all the buffs I could to myself. We have the Guila shield for 30% extra fire damage. We have Tristan's burst on there. And I think I should do a combined ultimate here with Tristan. Let's go see if I do that. Alright. Maybe I just didn't want to use the combined ultimate because it's kind of cheesy, so... Ideally, you want to go ahead and do the combined ult if you have it, but it's more so preparation for the new mode when it comes out, we're not going to have magic gauge going in, so you should get used to it. But other than that, when you have Galand game from his attack coming down, just make sure you do your special attack then, because you'll get a lot of damage in. So here, as you can see, I'm not using the shield engrave set. If I did, I would have had reset the shield on her much quicker. Same thing, just want to have as much uptime as we can on the shield. And then Daisy's buff as well, I should have done it here somewhere. And then as soon as he comes down right here, he's going to be bursted because it's on the floor, and then he touches the floor, and that will trigger the burst right there. And there I got a little bit lucky because right before he is going to go into the sky, I managed to do the attack. But here, just run around. You don't need to do anything crazy. And then when he's coming, dodge towards him if you want. Then you'll just go past him. So right there, that was actually a pretty insane play by me. As you saw right before Guila was going out, I did this shield, and then now we have 100% uptime. So that I didn't know I was going to pull off, but the more shield uptime you can get on Guila, the better. There is a weapon that gives you barrier efficiency for shields. I don't know if that means a longer shields or just more effective shields. I will try that when I get a chance. So as you can see, I do have the combined ultimate. I didn't want to use it that much, but because again, I feel like it's kind of cheesy. So here I do end up doing it anyway. I should have done it. The best time would have been doing it right before the ultimate, because the Galand game would come down, and then you would, as soon as it comes down, you can use your skills instead of doing the ultimate. Now, there, I wasted time by doing the ultimate, and I have less time on the Galand game. So still going to do the skill anyway. That was big damage. And one thing that's really good about Escanor, unless you're playing on Sword and Shield, you can keep switching him in and out, applying debuffs and buffs, because like the elemental bursts outside of darkness, they last really long, and then you have some downtime between your flare. So if you want to go over to Daisy, get her buffs, get the shield from Guila, apply debuffs from Tristan, you can do all of that within like 2 to 3 seconds. So and I think this might end it. So as you can see, it was not very difficult, right? You have to just be aware of which characters you're using when, and then when Escanor has his buffs versus when he doesn't, things like that. And then, of course, make use of the combined ultimate when you have it mid-round. Just know that in the future, probably with new modes coming out, we're not going to have that magic gauge. I think it's probably still the best team for Galand, just easiest to use for most people. If you don't have Daisy, go ahead and use Manny or maybe Slater. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want to see how I cleared Galand with just the Sword and Shield Escanor, nobody else on the team, I'll put it up on the screen now. Go ahead and take a look.